Mama Helen and you. Mama Helen and you. Mama Helen and you. Mama Helen and you. Leaders are not necessarily given birth to, leaders are made. In other words, to becoming one, there are certain things of qualities that are inspected on the inside of you. Well, with me on Mama Helen and you, you do not want to miss it because it's going to be wonderful, and it is all the way from Warri, Nigeria. Back in a moment.
I think it is expedient for us to first define it so that we can find it. Because most times, once you define something wrong, that is it. Because your definition is your destination.
And for me, a leader is one who is able to mobilize people and influence them to be able to achieve that.
Welcome back. This is still Mama Helen and you, all the way from Warri, Nigeria today. I am excited. You know why? Because in any case, I mean, especially when we are focusing on this country, Nigeria, perhaps Africa and around the world, leadership is a word that everyone will want to dwell on. Because what makes a nation, a city, a home great, it's only the product of leadership. And so, of course, today we're going to be looking at the effectiveness of leadership. And I have in here with me the men of God who have tested at different levels. They know what to do when you're talking about leadership. So on my first right is Dr. O.J. Agbara, who is the CEO of Mekande Energy. It's a pleasure having you on Mama Helen and you. And then, of course, I have Pastor Korede Kumaya. Pastor Korede Kumaya is a senior pastor of Master's Place. He is doing a wonderful work to the glory of God. It's such a pleasure having you here as well today. You know, the honor is mine. So then, what is leadership? Because most times people tend to equate a leader to leadership. You can be a leader, but when you're looking at the word leadership, it's all encompassing, isn't it? So, what makes you a leader?
I think it is expedient for us to first define it so that we can find it. Okay. Because most times, once you define something wrong, that is it. Because your definition is your destination. So, leadership is the capacity to inspire, motivate, and then influence. It is the ability to show example. Now, there is something strategic about it. Jesus made us to understand in Luke 6:39 that obligatorily when the blind leads the blind, the word there is lead. When the blind leads the blind, then falling into a pit is a must. That is to let us understand the vital role and the position of leadership. And that stipulates that to lead, the first thing and the most important quality in defining leadership is sight. It's been discovered 84% of people on earth don't know where they are going. They don't know where they are going.
That's true.
Another 14% know where they are going, but they don't know how to get there. Only 2% of people know where they are going and how they will get there. It is 2% that will guide 98%. So strategic visioning is the number one definition of a leader. You are a leader if you have a strategic vision. Politically, for your family, in the area of finance, in all aspects, it starts with seeing, because the people are already blind. So you that you want to lead, there must be a level of exposure, understanding above them to be able to lead them. And because you are leading people that are blind, then you must be selfless too, so that you are not going to use them. It will not be for personal aggrandizement and all those things. So definitely, I want to believe and subscribe to the fact that it is the ability to see ahead of others. It is the capacity to inspire others. And I know Doctor can contribute too.
Fantastic, fantastic. The capacity to inspire, to influence, and to create a roadmap into the future. What would Pastor Agbara have to say? What is leadership?
It's a non-coercive influencing of people, and the mobilization of these people through their motivation to be able to take them to the desired end.
Yeah.
You have a goal, you have an aspiration, it is futuristic. You take the current realities that you have now and you look into the future, which is your vision for tomorrow. Then you build a bridge, which is the plan to be able to get you there. Okay. And for me, a leader is one who is able to mobilize people and influence them to be able to achieve that.
Good. A leader. You know, scientifically, I mean, it say that because most times when things go wrong, oh, they just, you know, you have this look, oh, it's the leadership. And most times they tend to focus on one man, you know, using leadership. What would you have to say about that? Because being a leader is different from leadership. Leadership comprises more people in terms of leading. But when you're talking about a leader is an individual who gives leadership. But leadership itself has more than one person. What do you have to say about that?
It is important to understand that it's a collective responsibility. It is collective. But fundamentally, I think where we really have the problem is like a woman miraculously can deliver without a womb.
That's true.
By the miracle working power of God. I think sometimes we make this mistake of just believing that anything can happen miraculously. So we believe God for miracle leaders in terms of not understanding the fact that to every product there is a process. Our leaders today and even for the future, a process actually produced them. There is no leader we have today that did not come from that process.
Okay, so in other words, in any case, you can't just, all right, when you are trying to cast aspersion on leadership and only just focus on one man. It is a collective one.
Yes.
Responsibility.
It is a collective responsibility, but the overall leader must be held accountable for.
Somebody has to be responsible, isn't it?
So when you take responsibility, there is that equitable accountability that goes with it. Yeah. So you take the responsibility of being the chief operating officer of Nekonde Energy.
So true.
And so if anything goes wrong with the operations, I should be able to stand out and defend it.
So true.
Yeah. In defending it, it has to be very clear. I have to be very clear with my objectives, the plans I did put in place, the processes I did follow. What were my successes? How did I get to the critical success factors? What is it that defined my success? And so I must be able to put it on the table and put it very clearly. And I think if the people get to understand that I have done all that was humanly possible, and I'll be absorbed. But if not, sorry to say, but the leader will be. They will point fingers at
naturally. I mean, even in the Bible, David went through that, right? Yes. When things went back, everybody pointed at it. Yes, and all that. Well, most times people tend to equate leadership to wealth and affluence or power influence. What would you consider that to be? Is it true or false? You know, because, yes, let me not preempt you.
I don't want us to just have a microscopic conclusion. Most times, God rewards when you lead well. Once a leader is selfless, I don't want us to see leadership as positional, but eventually when you lead well, in most cases, you are going to eventually have wealth. For example, somebody like me, I've been in ministry now, this is my 18th year of being a pastor. Today, maybe the way God has helped us and is helping us, some people will just think that maybe we just came to town and things are just happening. I've got my foundation. I've been able to grow through the rank, and I've been able to pay the price, and I am still paying the price. Wealth definitely is a promise from God if you act diligently. But there is also the abuse. There is also the abuse. So I think we need to demarcate properly that, look, it is important to understand that to lead is a function and you must carry it out effectively. But eventually, I saw the will of Nelson Mandela. I saw, yes, and he left something for even his servants, his household, his children, and it was really a blessing to his generation and got much more than he budgeted for. For example, nations like US gave him their citizenship free of charge. We have quite a lot of that around us, the blessing of the Lord. But wherein people don't pay the price, it's like leaders who want to resurrect and they don't want to go through the cross. They don't really want to pay the price. So we need to demarcate properly. You cannot tell Christ not to resurrect after he's been through the cross. And then he will bring many up, because by the example of the leader, others will also see that this principle works and they will be able to follow. But truly, we have abuse.
For you to lead, you must have a followership. And people will follow when they respect you as a leader. They know you have something to offer. They know you.
I saw the will of Nelson Mandela. I saw, yes, and he left something for even his servants, his household, his children, and it was really a blessing to his generation.
So, again, in another way, still the same question. Your background, does it speak to you being a leader? Is it a defining factor? Wealth, influence, affluence.
Affluence doesn't define you as a leader. For you to lead, you must have a followership. And people will follow when they respect you as a leader. They know you have something to offer. They know you are able to, you are delivery focused. They know you get them to that destined end. They know that, that at the end of the day, you will galvanize the whole lot of them, and all of you will have a win-win situation in whatever you do. So affluence will not get you there.
Yes. Because a man from the gutter could become a leader, isn't it? Because most times people think that, oh, you must have been the product of the president of Nigeria to be a leader. Or maybe your father and mom must have houses all over the world, and that makes you one. But in the real sense of it, it is the quality within that, dictates who you become tomorrow.
It's basically a state of the heart, a personal decision, because it's in everyone the capacity to be a leader, but most people don't develop it.
Okay. So then what makes you a leader?
Number one thing that makes you a leader is a personal discovery of the fact that you have leadership seed in you. The Bible made us to understand that the prodigal son came to himself. A lot of people are living in inferiority complex, which is imposed on them by maybe their culture, their family background, and they are yet to come to the reality of who they really are in God, as stipulated by the word of God. A discovery via revelation, and then accepting responsibility, and then you move on to strategic vision, because I will be I for others, to define purpose, to define the future, to tell them that yes, it can happen, we can make it, and then I take the lead by paying the price for them to follow me.
Are leaders giving back to or made?
Both, but more of the latter.
Why?
Leadership is the inherent qualities that you develop over time. And some come from experiences, some come from studies and research of people who have made it. And then you modeling your own life and leadership pattern to what you think have succeeded. For me, what defines a leader is defining moments as well as define leaders. How you stand out when you face such critical situations. How inspirational you are in trying to be able to get people out of the box, out of the corner where situations have locked them in. And you see leaders who emerge through such moments, and so such moments define certain leaders. And for me, leaders are not just born, they are made through all these.
So in other words, even if you don't have the seed in you, you can be, developed.
It can be cultivated. And even when it is inborn, you still have to develop
Work on it.
You still have to work on it. You still have to. The truth is, there must be personal responsibility, without which that seed of greatness will not come out.
Without it, the seed of greatness will not emerge. On Mama Helen and You today, we are looking at the product of leadership and those things that distinguish men. Back in a moment. Taking us to another realm of celebration is Akpewe Ibikawe. She is talented, she's good, and she will take you to another level of celebration indeed. And it is still Mama Helen and you, all the way from Warri, Nigeria today. Back in a moment. Welcome back. This is still Mama Helen and you, all the way from Warri, Nigeria today. I am excited because, you know, whenever you have this topic about leadership, it tickles me. Many times everyone wants to be, in fact, in the real sense of it, everyone wants to be a leader, but no one is really willing to pay the price. So, still on leadership, I want to look at first of all, Agbara, and this question is, what are those things you go through as a leader? You know, I mean, the song sometimes can be very high, the praise, I would probably want to call it. But there are other things that you go through. And even when people admire you, they do not know what you have been through or what you're going through. You still have to weather through anyway. So, what are those things that leaders go through?
In the first place, for you to lead, you first of all have to be a follower. You follow to lead, and then you lead people that will follow you. In followership, you have to respect the leader, and so respect begets respect. So respect for people, the individual, the leader. By the time you grow from a follower to a leader, you would have gone through that process of knowing how to follow. We have quite a lot of people who have skipped a lot of positions and just jumped into the position of leadership because we are moved to that position of leadership. And they did not go through the ranks, they did not go through the process. It's a process and it's a daily thing. You need to be able to acquire this knowledge through...
But just because someone says you're a leader does not make you a leader, does it? I think that's what you're trying to say.
And then for you to be effective, you must have gone through the process of having to develop yourself. You must be a strategic thinker. You must be able to walk the talk. You have a plan. You have to walk the plan. You must be able to do reviews and feedback to be able to assess what the plans you have put, if you are succeeding in achieving those goals and aspirations that you have put for yourself. In the first place, you then must be able to lead yourself by developing yourself to be able to develop others. An effective leader, in its sense, must be able to be a good listener as well. You then be able to listen to be able to see the import of what people are saying, such that you then be able to help to direct the people to be able to get to where you want to get to. Being an effective and good leader, you must be able to take a holistic view of all that you want to do and then put it through a thought process to be able to define those moments, those successes.
Accepting responsibility, and then you move on to strategic vision, because I will be I for others, to define purpose, to define the future, to tell them that yes, it can happen, we can make it, and then I take the lead by paying the price for them to follow me.
Where situations have locked them in, and you see leaders who emerge through such moments, and so such moments define certain leaders. And for me, leaders are not just born; they are made.
Mama Helen and you. Mama Helen and you. Mama Helen and you. Mama Helen and you.